Hello everyone. In our previous video, we had looked into the data analysis on Cloud Kitchen dataset, and we used Excel and Tableau to analyze the dataset. In this video, we'll be using SQL, how to create a sample dataset of the Cloud Kitchen on open source database, and then we'll be using SQL queries to analyze the same with the same set of questions which we used earlier. So let me quickly show you the dataset. So how does this data set work? So let's assume we are a customer with the customer ID, this value, and we have placed an order with an order ID, this value. So assuming this is our customer ID and we have placed order for 3 items: cheese poppers, 7-Up, Ultimate, the Wook sandwich. We have placed an order for a restaurant which has a brand name of brand 4, and we have placed this order through a food delivery partner, partner 1, and this order has been placed at 16 p.m. at 14th May 2022, and it took some time to prepare the thing, and it was prepared by 6:49. And the cloud kitchen which was preparing this order is located or had the name Whitefield, and the total bill of my complete order was 67.62. We have picked few 7 questions over here. So these are the same 7 questions. So here we'll be addressing what is the most popular item, partner, brand, and you'll be using SQL for that. So for creating a sample data set, what we'll be doing is we'll be exploring this website called DB-Fiddle. So DB-Fiddle, it recognizes itself as a SQL database playground. So here we can basically create tables, run queries, and use different versions of SQL and PostgreSQLs. Let's see how do we create the table. So if you notice, we have about 9 fields. So we need to create the we need to create the table with these fields exactly. So now for creating this table, we have created query over here. So here, if you notice, we have created table called Cloud Kitchen with an order ID. So order ID, we have a varchar over here, where this is just representing that this order ID is a text format with a length of 5. So let me just change this to 10. I think the order ID is a little longer. We have put a kitchen name of varchar 2255. It can be as long as that. Order date, we have put the date time over here. Prepared date, the same thing. Partner name, customer ID, brand name, item name are all varchar, means text values. And final bill is an integer. Now, next step is to insert the values in this particular table. So what we do is we put insert into Cloud Kitchen, the name of the table, which is over here, and what all fields do we need to enter. So for this purpose, what we do is we concatenate everything's over here with a comma and a quote so that we get it over here. So I've done that thing in this section. So let's first copy this query. We'll copy this over here, and then in the value section, we'll be entering this part. So I've selected all the data. We have the 98 rows. So yeah, here I've pasted the data, and then when I run this, all right. So when we run the query, it shows us that there are no results to display because this is just a query for creating the table. So let's move to the questions now. So the first question, if we see here, we have the first question is which is the most popular item. So for the most popular item, what we'll be doing is, okay, let me actually just pull this out. Okay, so the most popular item, we need to simply take the item name, and we take how many times it has, or how many orders have been there. So we'll do count of order ID. we'll know how many times one item has been ordered, but we need to group this aggregate function by the item name. So for this, we'll be just putting a group by clause, group by one. So I've just put one here because we can either use one or item name, both works the same way. One basically means that I want to group by the first column, which is over here. So now when I run this, I get all the item names and how many times it has been ordered. So let me put your orders, and let's just order this by 2, which is number of orders, and we'll just order it in descending order number. So when we do this, we get to know the French fries is the most common popular or food item name, having 8 orders. Now let's move to the second. Which partner had the most orders? So for this thing, we'll need to use the same query and we'll just change the item name to partner name. And here we'll be doing a count distinct orders. The reason because we'll have the same order ID repeating multiple times. So that's the reason we'll just do count distinct order. So we'll count the unique order values for each partner name. So when we run this, so this way we get to know partner 2 is has the most number of orders. Let's move to the third question. So in the third question, we are trying to answer which brand is most popular. So this is a similar kind of question where here we replace the same thing with brand name. So once we do that, we realize that there are 4 brands and the brand 4 has most number of orders, which is 16 number of orders. So that way we can understand which brand is the most popular. Now we'll move to the next question. Which kitchen takes the longest and the shortest time to prepare? So for this, we'll not reuse this query. We'll try to create a new query here. So for this one, first we need to understand that for each order ID, what is the time difference we're getting. So for this purpose, what we'll be doing is we'll be selecting the kitchen name, then we'll be selecting the order ID, then we'll be selecting the order date, head date, and we'll be calculating a difference between prepared date minus order date. And we'll just be putting this value as time difference. And like this. So this one will give us for each for each order, what is the order and prepared date. As we have this table with multiple different item names, so we need to take a unique of this thing. So we'll just add a distinct set over here, and then we'll just run this query. So if you notice, the first thing what we have received is for this particular order in white field, this is the order date, this is the prepared date, and it took around 900 TM, which is showing here. So if you notice, it is basically taking the time difference and it is calculating seconds as 100 and giving 900. So I think it is more or less the same. Your 29 to 38 is 9 minutes and it is giving us 900. So we'll have to add one clause which will be dividing by 100. So once we do that, we get 9 minutes over here. Now the next step is we need to just group this by kitchen name and calculate the average of TM. So for this purpose, what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a CTE over here. So for creating a CTE, we are just creating a sample table, which will this query will be used as a table. So we'll just put with let's put time difference as this. So this is a complete set which has been using, and now we'll be using select over this clause. So we'll be doing kitchen name and average of TM from time diff, and this will be grouped by 1 and order by 2 ASC. So what here we are actually doing, we are taking the kitchen name, we are taking the average of the time difference, and we are grouping this average by the kitchen name, and we are ordering it by this field and in an ascending order. All right. So here what we get, Boris Kinar is a place, kitchen name which has average number of time difference as 7 minutes. So this is the way how we identify which is the kitchen takes the longest and the shortest time to prepare. So moving to the next question, how much time does the popular item take to prepare in different kitchen location? So if you notice in our data set, we have each order will have multiple number of items, but the time difference which we have here is for the order and not the item name. So for this particular reason, what we'll be doing is we'll be calculating the difference between the prepared and the order date, and we'll be dividing it by the number of items in that particular order. This is one way which we can do it. So let's come back to this thing. So now what we need is, first we need what is the time difference. So let's go step by step. Let me just take this data set. First, we'll be seeing which all orders do we have French fries. So in this scenario, we'll just be seeing select order ID from Cloud Kitchen equal to French fries. So in this scenario, we receive 8 unique order IDs. For these order IDs, we need to know or how many number of items were there. So what we'll do in this case is we'll just comment this. We'll just comment this, and then we'll be putting here that what is the uh, count of item name in this particular order, and we'll just group this by all the fields which are above us. So we have about 5 fields, and this is the way we can get it. So what we need to do is, okay, let's run this part. So here we have the kitchen name, the order date and the prepare date, and we have the item names, like how many number of items were there. So ideally what we need is items. What we can do is we can use this data and filter it for the order IDs which are present over here, and then divide the TM by the item name, the items over here, and then we'll get one more column which will give us that for this particular order, if this 33 minutes, it will be 33 by 3, which is 11 minutes. So if this is the order which is selling the French fries, but if it's not, then it will be a different order ID. So the first thing what we'll do is we'll just create different CTEs which we required. So this will be time difference as this value. So this is the first thing. The second thing is we'll create one more CTE where we'll be taking this complete data set. We'll be filtering it for these order IDs which are present in for which have the item French fries. And third thing, we'll calculate a field which will be the TM divided by this item. So for this, what we'll be doing is let's take select time diff dot star. So we'll take every column in time diff dot star, and then we'll add one more calculation which will be tm divided by items as time diff per item. This is the thing from this table, and we'll be filtering it where order id in. So in will be checking whether this order id is in the particular list or not, and in this subquery we'll just uncomment this. All right, so this is the way. So now once we run this, we'll ideally have only 8 orders. We should be having 8 orders, and we'll be having the time difference per item over here. With 22, one item is French fries, and it is dividing it by 2, and we're getting 11 minutes here. So in this case, now we have received the data. Now what we'll be doing is we'll just use this as a CT as well. So let's name it as time difference per item. So I'll just use the short form over here. And this is one more CT, which is my final table. And on this table itself, I'll just be doing a kitchen name. So I'll be selecting the kitchen name over here, and I'll be taking the average of this particular field. And from this table, UDPI, and we'll be grouping it by the first field, which is kitchen name, and we'll be ordering it by second in ascending order. So once we do this, so here we receive the list of kitchen names with average time difference and thing. So French fries and bite field has an average time difference of preparation of 2 minutes, while James Road is an average of 6 minutes, and so on. So we get this for 3 different kitchen names. Let's move to the next question. How many orders were prepared below and above average preparation time? So first thing, what we need to do is calculate what is the average preparation time. For this particular thing, we'll be using the same query itself. So we'll just remove this particular part. Okay, I'll just keep this as it is. So we have the time difference, and we need to, okay, we can remove the items as well, and we have this data. We don't need to group by because there's no aggregation over here. And let's just quickly see what this table is giving to us. Order. So we have kitchen name, order ID, order date, prepare date, and the time in minutes. We need to know what is the average of this. So we just quickly check average of M. So once we do this, we'll get the average of the time difference. And now we need to know how many orders are below or above this. So for this thing, we'll just do select count order ID from time def, which is a raw table, and we'll just put a clause here where tm is greater than or equal to this value. To get the above orders below this, we can use a function which is called, so let's just take this and put a less than equal to this, and we can just use a uninode. So to just clean this properly, what we'll be doing is we'll just add this above average. So we'll just add it as a text, and we'll just put the same thing over here below average. So we know how many orders were above average 9 and below average 24. Now the final thing is, what is the distribution of the final bill by brand? So for this, what we'll be doing is we need to just remove everything and do a max segregation. So if you notice, for each order, we have the same final bill amount which is present over there. And for this purpose, what we'll be doing, we'll be taking a max for each order ID. So as we need this by brand, we'll replace this by brand name, order ID, and max of final bill. And we need to group this by If yeah, so one more thing, if you're grouping it by something, we don't need to use distinct because it's already grouping it by a brand name, the order ID. So we won't have any duplicates over here. So this will give us this two thing. And now if we need the same thing, a final distribution of the final bill. So what we'll do, we'll just take the brand name and we'll take the sum of this final bill. So this one we'll put amount per order. So we'll take amount per order, and from, actually this won't be time difference. Let's put final bill amount per order, and we'll group by the brand name over here, and then we'll just sort it by the order amount. So here we get for brand 4 we have 922. If you like the video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.